So I had a interesting little conversation with somebody on a Discord server earlier today, and apparently they got a letter from the IRS informing them about the what he's calling backdoor UBI. So UBI is Universal Basic Income. But what he's talking about is the child tax credit and the way that's changed with the American Rescue Plan. So if you haven't seen, my previous material on it, the American Rescue Plan, one of the provisions is that the child tax credit is being changed. One, it's going from $2,000 up to $3,000. Two, it's if your kid is under six, it's actually going to 3,600. Three, it's fully refundable instead of partially refundable, meaning that even if you don't owe any taxes whatsoever, you are going to get that full 3,000. Under the old rules, it was part if you owed tax and part even if you didn't. But now it's going to be fully refundable. And the fourth thing is that they are going to start sending out checks or direct deposits on a monthly basis, and they're saying they're going to start that in July, so about a month from right now. So yeah, I said, and my response was $250, $300 per kid per month, plus unemployment benefits. So if you have a single parent with three kids, that could be like $4,000 a month in some states, and that you'd have to make $60,000 a year before the net proceeds balances out. So that got me thinking, actually, the unemployment benefits are they vary quite a bit from state to state. So I went ahead and I looked up unemployment benefits by state, and I found this site, worldpopulationreview.com, and they have this handy dandy table. Virginia, for some reason, their data is messed up, so I corrected that to what I think it is, which is this number divided by 52, which puts it at about $726 a week. But then I threw that into a spreadsheet, and I said, well, if that's true, so people on unemployment, you know, they can get a certain annual benefit, and then they're gonna, if they're a single parent or married parents, whatever it is, they're gonna get credits for their kids. And what's the welfare cliff on that? Like, how much do you have to make at a job before that starts to balance out what you'd be giving up in unemployment benefits? Because you're going to get the kid credits either way, but still, it's a decent chunk of change. So the way this model is calculated is, I took the table that they had, took all the states, took the maximum weekly benefit amount, and you might not get the maximum, but it's play with the numbers as you will. Maximum weeks, and so you multiply this by this, you get a number, and that's the maximum somebody could get on unemployment in a given year. And the numbers vary widely. So 20,000 in Washington all the way down to 6,000 in Arizona. So it's a big spread there. On top of that, people, if they have two kids, for this model, I just said one is under six and one is over six, so they're going to get $550 a month. That adds up to $6,600 a year. If we add those two numbers together, the unemployment and the kid credits, you come out with total annual earnings. And this is all tax-free because the unemployment benefits will be below the taxable threshold, for a head of household or a married filing joint filer. And the kid credits are credits, so they don't get included as part of the taxable income. So yeah, you're looking at tax-free earnings of anywhere from on the high end, $25,000 to $27,000. On the low end, well, at least Florida's the very low end, $9,900, but $12,000, $13,000, $14,000. So that is what people could potentially be paid for staying home, if they have the two kids. If they've got three kids, it'll be more. If they have one kid, it'll be less. If they have no kids, it'll be less. But two kids is a decent approximation, I think. So then I was thinking, how much would you have to earn at a job in order to make that same amount? Because you'd be giving up the unemployment benefits, you'd still get the kid credits, but you'd be paying, even if you don't pay any income tax, you'd be paying Social Security tax and Medicare tax, your FICA contributions. So, if you were making 18,944 in unemployment benefits, you would have to make 20,513 after paying Social Security and Medicare in order to come out to the same after-tax earnings. But that's not a real number. It's not a real comparison because you're comparing staying home doing nothing to going to work, right? Going to work involves a lot of extra expenses. There's transportation back and forth. There's clothing you have to buy. There's childcare. There's meals out that you might not otherwise have. So there's a lot of extra cost built into having a job that's not included in just the tax withholdings, you know, and I ballpark that at 10 grand a year. And, you know, maybe that number's high, maybe it's low, whatever it is, but it changes the minimum that you'd have to make to have, you know, the same standard of living and have the same take home pay that you would to the situation where you have unemployment and the kid credits. And so the numbers go up a lot, you know, instead of 20,000, we're talking about 30,000. So, you know, it's, you know, there's a report that came out yesterday, I think it was, with the unemployment numbers, that there's 9.5 million open job positions, and a lot of those are in the hospitality and, you know, food service industries. So, and you know, it's no wonder, right? It's like, well, I'd have to make 30 grand going to work in order to just break even with the, you know, with the benefits I have for not doing that. So, you know, what's the incentive to do that? You know, if you start making 40, 50, $60,000 a year, maybe it's worth it at that point. But for just breaking even, I mean, why bother? It's a rational decision to not do that. So you know, it's, you know, people are wringing their hands, you know, as over the state of the economy. It's like, but you know, people are responding to the incentives that they have, and you know, and rightfully so. So, yeah, I don't expect any of this to change. I don't expect the employment picture to change until, you know, these incentives change. And obviously, you know, that's a hard political thing to do because, you know, you'll be accused of everything under the sun for, you know, cutting off people who really need it. And maybe they're right. I don't know. You know, maybe this will be the push that we really need to get automation into these, you know, lower skill positions. You know, I was reading an article the other day about how McDonald's is trialing AI assisted drive-throughs, where, you know, when you talk into the box at the drive-through, you won't be talking to a person, you'll actually be talking to a voice recognition system. And you know, there might be something to that because a lot of times they get my order wrong. So maybe that will end up being a better experience for everybody involved. But yeah, so 30 grand, 20 grand, you're breaking even with staying home on unemployment, and you know, that's just not worth it. So for anybody who was, you know, skeptical or confused by the employment picture, I hope this helps. Now, what these people would actually be better off doing is, you know, they run down their unemployment benefits, you know, get this amount, start a small business on the side, make $5,000-$10,000 in self-employment income, and then they will get that money plus they'll get the earned income credits for the kids. So that would actually be the optimal situation where, you know, they get the whole, you know, they could stay home, they do whatever they do for self-employment, which, you know, a good chunk of that is online. You know, you can do gig work or freelance kind of work, or, you know, if it's actually going to work and going outside to do something, whether it's, you know, landscaping or, you know, delivering food or taking care of people's kids or whatever it is. You know, most of those are service businesses. And so they would get the earnings from that, and then the earned income credit would take care of their self-employment tax, and they would give them, you know, another, you know, 5 grand on top of that. So that would actually be the best situation that the people in this situation could employ. And then you're only talking about working for a month or two, and you know, maybe three, whatever the net earnings work out to be, as opposed to working all year for, you know, not much better pay. So anyway, hope that shed some light on the situation, but I thought it was interesting to actually put some numbers to it.